thing on? Hello. Ding, ding, ding. Alright, guys. As I wait for everybody to come in, this is going to be part 2 of the September album discussions of some of the albums that happen to come out in September, my birthday month. And they happen to be like my favorite ones from these specific bands. So I put some together. When I put all this stuff together for you guys, I love these bands and these albums and this music. And then I go ahead and look for facts, cool things about the bands to share with you guys. And hopefully there's things that you didn't know about. And we can go ahead and have some chats together. Oh, no notifications. We can have some chats together about some of these albums that I chose. I'd like to wait for some people to get in the lobby, but I will get started as I drink my special juice, my special apple juice. So, as I wait for people, I'll just go ahead and get started. The first album that I want to talk about today is Death, The Sound of Perseverance. My favorite songs, almost everybody's favorite Death song is Scavenger Human Sorrow. That is one of my favorites. Bite the Pain, Spirit Crusher. My favorite albums are like Symbolic is my absolute favorite. Every song on there is badass. Individual Thought Patterns. Oh, John's in the house. And Human. I like the later Death as opposed to early Death, but early Death is badass. Oh yeah, Jupiter's here. Well, I'm gonna wait for more people to come in, Jupiter, and we're gonna do a happy birthday to you. As I wait for a couple more people to come in here, make it a little more special. Maybe everybody will sing to you as well. And feel free to put in your favorite songs, guys, from this album. Your favorite or your experiences. Did you guys see this band live before Chuck passed? Still preferable to Scream Bloody Gore? Yes. That's a badass album. Leprosy's a badass album. Spiritual Healing. But early Death as opposed to later Death, it's like a different transition. They got more technical and everything. And Chuck started singing a little different. And which I prefer the later Death, but Death is badass no matter what. Early Death. I got Symbolic back when I was in Germany 9 years ago. Oh, how cool, dude! Yes, that is my favorite album. I was always listening to it. I would do everything like wash the dishes, me listening to it. My mom passed by, I got turned down. She hears screaming. She's like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "Nothing, Mom." Oh, Andy's here. What's up, dude? You like Death's Painkiller cover? It's pretty badass. You can't go wrong with Judas Priest, but everybody goes wrong with Painkiller. But they did a pretty badass job. So Andy, we're talking about Death, Sound of Perseverance. Let's get in there, man. Tell me your favorite songs. It's their 7th album, last album. Actually, everybody's gonna fact check me because they're gonna be like, wait a minute, this was in August, not September, but it was August 31st. I would say technically it was released September 1st, and I really like this album, and I wanted to talk about it, so don't say nothing to me. When I was in Germany, I bought Primal Fear, Jaws of Death. Nice, dude. I've heard of them, but I haven't really gotten into them. One song that's really cool on there, Voice of the Soul. I know you guys probably know it. It's just an acoustic death metal jam, I want to say, and it's pretty badass. Has a lot of emotional feelings to it. Oh, here we go. Metal's in the house. What's up, dude? My favorite album is Spiritual Healing, and favorite song from it is Low Life. Nice, dude. I was just talking about Spiritual Healing, just how it's an earlier Death album, and Chuck has a different kind of style then. I also got Manowar, The Triumph of Steel in Germany too. I'm pretty sure Germany would be the best place to get Manowar stuff, dude. I love the epic first song. Hey, everybody say hi to Andy. Ah, thanks, dude. I'm actually gonna give away one of the bands I'm gonna review later, but it's Megadeth, so I try to do a Dave Mustaine feel today. But my hair is like baby hair. I can't get it as poofy as him, so I tried. You look good, homie. That hair on point, nice. I'm glad it turned out right. It's hot here, and like I said, my hair's thin, so it's gonna go flat real fast. But if you guys notice, in Voice of the Soul, it sounds kind of like a Symbolic album-ish because they actually wrote it during that time, but didn't put it in the album and decided to put it later. And then Chuck had like another band called Control Denied, and he was interviewed before about a lot of the song titles in Sound of Perseverance, and he denied wanting to use them for that band and said no, it was originally for Death the whole time and all that stuff. And then a year later, he got interviewed and then ended up changing his mind and saying, oh, well, yeah, I was going to use it, but then, we took those songs and those titles and Deathized it, I guess. So he ended up coming out saying, yeah, we were going to use it for that, but we used it for Death, which I'm glad they did. Father. So, I mean, if you guys want to put in your own input about Death, I would love to hear your input about this album. If not, I will go ahead and move on to my next album. If y'all are ready, I'm gonna quench my thirst. Chuck was one of my main inspirations with guitar. Same here, dude. I mean, later when I started learning electric guitar, him and Dimebag were, big influences on me. And then also Jimmy Page. I mean, not just, his song playing, but like his background and all the cool stuff that he did and basically invented back then for like sound and recording and just cool new stuff. So, alright, well, I mean, I will move on to Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Get in there, guys. Put your favorite songs. Oh, here comes the middle with the symbolic album. Is pretty easy to learn. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty badass album, but at least it's like, you're able to like learn it. It's not like extremely technical. So then you can just feel badass like playing it and playing along with the songs. Dime was awesome. Such a cool guy. Yeah, dude. I feel so bad. I mean, I really wish I was able to see Pantera. He was like, like I said, an inspiration of mine. So, I mean, that would have been so awesome to see him. But sadly, I wasn't able to. Oh! Robin Head. Neil Young had some amazing guitar too. Heck yeah, dude. He's one of the, godfathers of classic rock. Can't go wrong with him. Yes! Okay. I was just about to get to that middle. If that's your favorite song, it's going to be so badass because that's my favorite song from Black Sabbath. Love War Pigs, Paranoid, Rat Salad, Fairies Wear Boots. The Paranoid album was a classic as a whole. Yeah, I mean, Fairies Wear Boots is my favorite Black Sabbath song ever. I mean, I love Paranoid and War Pigs. A long time ago, I covered War Pigs for like a Halloween show I did with like this classic rock band that I used to be in. The album was like the second album, like after the first one, like was only like 4 months in between, so they were just like on it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they came up with like 20 songs, and then they're like, crap, what are we gonna do with all these? They're all so badass. So they had to split it in between 2 albums. Paranoid was actually made, I'm pretty sure most of you guys know this, within like 30 minutes. It's supposed to be like a filler song for the album, and Tony just put together this like riff, and then everybody came together, Ozzy, and then I think the bassist wrote the lyrics, I believe, and just came together and wrote it like in 30 minutes, recorded it within like 2 hours, and then ended up changing the album title because they wanted it to be War Pigs. Because smoking and tripping is all you do? Yeah. See, Jupiter knows me. And they actually wanted to call War Pigs, well, I don't want to mispronounce it, Walpurgis or whatever. I guess supposedly it's like a satanic version of Christmas or whatever. But they wanted to write it like that it wasn't like about Satan and being a spiritual thing, but it was about like people who own a lot of stuff and bank owners and stuff and get like the little people to like fight their wars and stuff. Like that's the real Satanists in the world, basically. So, I mean, they wanted to call it that and dedicate it to that, but then the label was like, that's a little too satanic. You guys already have a reputation of being a dark band from the first album. Let's call it War Pigs. So they wanted it to be like the album like name, but they ended up switching it to Paranoid, which was a great choice. Love Black Sabbath. Glad I got to see them in Ozzy and Dio years. Dude, so lucky. Oh my god. I've said this before to you, John. I really wish I would have lived in your era. I mean, I think I would have had a better time back in the 80s as a teenager. My lord. Tony is another guitar inspiration and what inspired me to play lefty guitars. Nice, dude. Well, I mean, maybe I missed it or, like, I don't see it on the pictures on Facebook or Instagram, but I didn't know you were lefty. Oh, my God. That's so awesome. It's a lot harder to do that stuff and get cooler instruments being a lefty because my dad's a lefty, so I would always see the struggle. But actually, he was able to get right-handed guitars as well and play them. Walpurgis is a pagan holiday inspired by the springtime. Okay, I mean, he said it was like a satanic holiday. Ozzy, I guess, described it as like a black magic wedding or something. So, Everybody has their own interpretation, I guess. John's just like hee hee hee. Is that like a hee hee hee, or is that your evil laugh? Um, and I guess like Iron Man, they originally wanted to call it like Iron Bloke. You know how all of them call other guys blokes all the time, and everybody's a bloke or whatever. And I guess when Tony came up with the riff for that song, Ozzy said it sounded like a giant iron bloke walking around, so they ended up changing it to Iron Man. Kind of fine-tuned some of their songs and made sure they weren't going to be too satanic or too British. Iron bloke, two gone to the bridge, as I was going to say right now. Evil laugh, I guess. Well, that goes perfectly right now, John. We are talking about Black Sabbath. Yes, see, you know. But I guess Geezer Butler wrote the lyrics, and it's like a guy who travels into the future, sees the apocalypse happen, and then when he comes back, he ends up turning into steel through like a magnetic field or something, and then he wants to go warn everybody, like, hey, all this stuff's gonna happen, like, listen to me, whatever. And everybody starts making fun of him or whatever, and then he ends up going on a rampage and turns into like Iron Man mixed with Hulk and destroys everything. It's like, laugh at me now. You'll learn later in the future. Black Sabbath is named after an Italian horror movie. Nice, dude. We're giving each other facts right now. Sweet. And I guess Hand of Doom had dealt with problems like the lyrics were like problems about military people, people that went to war and stuff, and how they would come back like addicted to heroin and like all jacked up on drugs from all the stuff they experienced and everything. And they saw it like firsthand, I guess, when they played a few shows for like the military and how they get them together and like put on little shows for them and stuff. And they saw it firsthand. So a lot of that album had to do with Vietnam and war. Apparently, I mean, you could obviously see it in the songs. And I guess Paranoid wasn't made about paranoia. It was made about like basically depression and being depressed, and then taking drugs and drinking all the time and stuff, and then not knowing whether you're paranoid because you're all coked up or doped up, whatever, or you're just depressed. It's supposed to be like bouncing between the two. And I guess this was like another song / album that got criticized because somebody apparently committed suicide, a nurse, and when they found her body, she was having Paranoid album played in the background. So supposedly it had to pushed her over the edge because of all the crazy stuff that says in the album and all stuff. But obviously none of those come to term. They never win. They always lose, and then you have to pay all these lawyers all this money from trying to sue them. It is not worth it. Finish with my woman because she couldn't help me with my mind. You just want me to sing the lyrics that you put on there. Paranoid hits hard for people that were indoctrinated at young ages. Yeah, back then, I mean, my grandpa was able to get into the war and sign up for the army at 16, and he just lied about his age, but he was able to get in. So that happened a lot back then. They didn't care. They were just like, everybody come in because we had a war to fight. I tell you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but it's too late. Fuck, the song lyrics give you major feels. Yeah, dude. I mean, I was fortunate enough to see Black Sabbath twice. Once at the Forum, which is like a closed-in stadium, and then another time at this big music festival. So luckily I heard that a few times, and then when he tours on his own, he also sings, Paranoid, obviously. And as we're on the subject of Ozzy, I will continue this Ozzy train, this crazy train, let's say, to go to the Blizzard of Oz. That came out September 20th. But in the UK, they ended up releasing it in March the next year in the US, but technically it was released in September, so I can still talk about it because I love this album. I mean, I don't know, Goodbye to Romance, No Bone Movies, You Looking at Me, Looking at You, I want to talk to you. Yeah, I want to talk to you about Blizzard of Oz. And it's the first, I mean, everybody knows it's the first album after Black Sabbath. Sadly, Randy Rhoads was only able to be on this album and their following album after his whole tragic accident. I know you guys know. Don't need to go over that. Don't want to go through that sad story. But it was mostly written by all the other band members, mainly Randy Rhoads. And I guess they made Goodbye to Romance. Well, that was an Ozzy, song that he wrote as well, mostly. But a goodbye to Black Sabbath after he got fired. a goodbye to doing shows and doing music, because he said he thought after Black Sabbath that it was over with. Like, he wasn't gonna be big by himself. Like, he thought that the whole band made everything, and which they did, but I mean, you know, he was all jacked up and they fired him, kicked him out. So he ended up continuing his crazy train and, you know, going that way. Um, but I guess, like, you know, he was always like getting drunk all the time, and they like made a song together. It was called like "You Said It All," and they never like released it on an album, just on like one live album, and did it live like a couple times. And when they wanted to record it, the drummer actually had to sing the song during the recording to, like, you know, get the musical tracks in, because Ozzy was drunk and, you know, laying all over the drums. Uh, yes, I just sang that. I'm not singing it again. Oh, Retro's here. I had to scroll up. Oh my god. Yes, I was just saying I was trying to do a Dave Mustaine look, but, you know, my hair's falling flat. But it's curly. It's blonde, so I was trying to be like Dave Mustaine. Oh, Sidron's here. What's up, dude? He's here for the metal. Well, I mean, if, you know, you obviously heard me talking about Blizzard of Oz. Get in there, guys. Please put your favorite songs, your favorite memories. If you saw Ozzy back in the day, recently. Not recently. Was it You Said It All, an improvised song? Yeah, and a lot of that album, there was a lot of improvised music. There was a lot of music that they did live, like, or just did, like, jamming together all the time, and then just came up with, like, all these badass songs. I mean, you put, you know, 4 geniuses in a room and give them instruments, and they're gonna come up with something badass. Oh, everybody say hi to Retro. Ah, wait a minute. Wait. He said Jammer. I thought Jammer Dad was there. I was like, no way. I don't see him. Okay, never mind. Blizzard of Oz, Faves, Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, Suicide Solution. Nice. I love Yngwie Malmsteen's cover of Mr. Crowley. It's badass. Sup, Youngblood. Oh my god. And I guess, like, No Bone Movies, the drummer ended up making most of that song and had most of the credits to it. But when he came in, all the music was written already, pretty much. And if you guys remember records, it was an A-side and B-side. B-side was usually for the songs that weren't going to be, like, most of the hits. So they were going to put it on that side, but they wanted him to have some credit in it and wanted to, you know, put his name in there. And it is a badass song. I mean, why not? So he ended up getting credit and, you know, being on the side of the album with all the other famous tracks. I guess also that the album was supposed to be, like, mostly just saying, like, Blizzard of Oz on top. And it wasn't supposed to be Ozzy. They had an idea to make it, like, the band name or something like that. So they had it originally, like, mostly saying Blizzard of Oz on top. And I guess, you know, Sharon comes in and she wants to start managing and stuff. And she doesn't want anybody else to have the credits, even though Ozzy was drunk all the time. And he didn't do, like, a lot of the writing, but he was, you know, the front man that a lot of people wanted to see. And she didn't want him to, or any of the other band members to have any of the credits. So, oh, I lost it. Zoo. What was I gonna say? Oh, so, sorry guys, I'm getting nervous. So they ended up changing, like, the album to, like, mostly Ozzy on top and, like, the Blizzard of Oz on the bottom. And Randy Rhoads, like, wanted to quit a few times. You know, he was getting frustrated. He was like, why am I going to do, like, all of this work and stuff for this guy that's drunk all the time? You know, he needs to put in his work. And then we're not going to get the credits at all? Like, that's kind of messed up. And, like, Sharon would always say, like, oh, it was the best time that I had recording this album with them and being with them. And she wasn't even with them. And she was in Los Angeles the whole time. And then he was with his current wife, Thelma, where they are actually recording. So it was, like, just kind of weird. And I think she had, like, something in the background, like, trying to make something and make Ozzy into something and then make him her husband and get all the money and all the credits. Fave song, Ozzy for me is All I Want Is You. Nice, dude. You said Jammer, so I thought he was here. No, you put Jammer. And I don't remember saying Jammer. That's why I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Ironically, Randy's potential was more wasted in Quiet Riot. Hey. Oh. Blocked it Quiet Riot when they were very unknown. Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know that either, that Randy Rhoads started off in Quiet Riot. Yeah, I liked the Randy Quiet Riot stuff. Yeah, dude, and sadly, I mean, maybe if he would have stayed with Quiet Riot, he would have still been alive today, but, I mean, he wouldn't be known for all of his hits as much with Quiet Riot as opposed to Ozzy. Um, and I mean, I know you guys know that with the Suicide Solution, there was another person that killed themselves and tried to sue Ozzy and all that stuff, but they always get away with it with the First Amendment, and it's not technically their fault. You know, these people have issues, and they hear this song, and they're just like, oh, that's the end of it, you know, and sadly, they take their lives, and they just want to get money because they know it's from, like, a famous person, and they want to, you know, get into it just because everybody else is suing them at the time. And I guess, like, there was some lyrics in it that says, wine is fine, but whiskey's quicker. And Ozzy would always say, like, oh, yeah, we wrote that because Bon Scott just died and all this stuff. And then the drummer was like, no, like, or, I mean, the bassist, he was like, no, like, we wrote it about your, you know, alcohol abuse and stuff. You know, he was really trying to hide it back then. Because he got kicked out of, you know, Black Sabbath for being that way. So, I mean, he was, like, trying to hide it still. I like his guitars. Yeah, dude, the polka dots. Released only in Japan at first. Haha, calling me Young Blood. Yes, Young Blood. Old Body. Oh my god. The RP3 is the best guitar ever. I'm an Old Blood, Young Body. We could be like buddies in a movie. Oh my god. Okay. Well, since we're talking about a member of AC/DC, the next one I'm going to talk about is the Razor's Edge. So get in there with your favorite AC/DC moments. The next album I'm going to talk about is another AC/DC album, so we're going to be stuck on this for a little bit. So go ahead and put your favorite songs, favorite memories. I know John can get in there because, you know, he grew up on AC/DC, and I'm pretty sure you saw them live a couple times. And my favorite song is actually on the album from AC/DC, Money Talks. I was just really mad that their last tour that they did, that I was able to go to, the only time I was able to see AC/DC, and I was like, they're gonna do that song. I'm like, there's no way they're not gonna do that song, and they didn't do that song. I was so sad. I've got Lefty Jackson, Randy Rhoads V guitar myself. Nice, dude. I mean, I got a Dean V. It's just kind of like the bootleg version of a cool V, but AC/DC, I got introduced with that song TNT and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Okay, we always, I mean, when we would play it, me and Tabitha would always mute all of the other songs except for that one, and then there was like a Floggy Molly song, and then there was one other one. It was like a punker song. I don't know if it was Rancid or who it was, but we only had like 3 songs playing the whole time, every time. So we were always like burning our brains. TNT. Favorite AC/DC song, Hell's Bells. They did that one live. Badass. Seen AC/DC 3 times? Dude. But back in your day, were you able to see Bon Scott before he passed? I've got a Dean V2, which I Hendrix flipped, righty guitar and strung. Nice, dude. That's awesome. Me and my friends would jam AC/DC live at Pizza Hut after the movies every weekend. Oh my god. That sounds like a cool night. And obviously, you know, Razor's Edge is a badass song. I mean, she's got you by the balls. I was just singing that today, like all day. It was stuck in my head. And this is like their 12th album, because they released one in Australia, and they didn't release in the U.S. So the U.S. technically has 11, Australia has 12 AC/DC albums. But this album was number 2 on the Billboard 100 for 77 consecutive weeks. That's a long ass time, dude. That is so badass. Let's see. Back in Black. Hit the sack. I said, no, I'm back to be black. No, I did not see Bon Scott. Aw, man. Well, I mean, you still saw Legends, so. I've got big balls, dude. Okay, I would always play that song, which is going to be on the next album. I'm giving it away right now. And I would always play it. My mom gets so mad because I'd be singing it. She's like, stop playing that song. But it would come on the radio, so I'm like, come on. It's not that bad. And I guess before they made this album, they all had to take time to themselves because they had a bunch of crap going on. Like, Brian Johnson was dealing with a divorce. Malcolm Young took time off to recover from alcoholism. The others had personal reasons or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's has to do with alcoholism and things that relate to that because they were all pretty crazy with that. And I guess Angus Young would, like, take little recordings of himself, like, you know, playing the guitar, little things that he thought up. Brian Johnson would come in and hear it, or he would, you know, make up his own stuff and then, you know, bring it to him. But he would hear his stuff, go home, record stuff that he came up with, come back, did it all the old school way. And then Angus Young ended up coming up with Thunderstruck on accident, so that's pretty cool. it's pretty cool when these guys come up with these badass songs on accident or within like 25 minutes. You're like, dude, really? You are just shooting talent. And it was really cool because back in that tour, they would play Money Talks, and there was a few times where they like shot like all this stuff that looked like confetti, but they were actually like dollar size Angus bucks or whatever. I was like, oh my god, I wonder how much those are worth today, if they're worth anything. That is so awesome. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, yes. And that's a song that my mom would always blast. I'm like, well, Big Balls isn't that different, but okay. Still talking about bad stuff. And the only AC/DC album I own on CD, I remember buying it, and I was roughly 9 years old. Nice, dude. I just heard a lot of it on the radio, you know. My parents would buy, like, some CDs, some greatest hits of certain, you know, bands, like, you know, the Ramones, I told you before, Jupiter, and, like, Judas Priest, Aerosmith, stuff like that, and they never got an AC/DC one. Not till later, when Tabitha started collecting CDs, and then she burned AC/DC out for me. I couldn't listen to them for a while because there was so much AC/DC going on in the house. Let's see. Hey, Tiffany, did your hair? Yes! I was trying to be like Dave Mustaine, man. Hey, Jose. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, and then speaking of, I know, you know, the presidential debates were right now, but Mistress for Christmas was actually a song about Donald Trump because there was a bunch of stuff going on back then, and they kind of made the song for him. Take a drink. And like the Razor's Edge, I guess it's like a back in the day of like old British farmers that, you know, there was a lot of times that you'd be farming and it would be like nice and sunny and cool and look like nothing's gonna happen, and then all of a sudden you see all these black clouds come out from nowhere and it starts like thundering and lightning and, you know, raining, and you're just like, dude, what the heck happened? They used to call that the Razor's Edge, so they thought that was a cool, you know, it actually sounds like it's coming. Like when you're listening to this song, it sounds like the Razor's Edge is coming. Tiffany, can you put a price on peace? No. Hey, I love that Megadeth album. Yes, that is badass album. I'm gonna do Megadeth later. I already, you know, kind of gave that away, and I already gave away the next one because I got so excited telling you guys about this. And that was like, I mean, all of their albums were like, you know, high selling. Like, especially, you know, the beginning albums, you know, it was like the first, like, 5-6 albums where they were just, like, platinum, gold, millions of copies sold. I mean, you couldn't go wrong with AC/DC back then. They came out, like, at a good time and were able to, you know, grab everybody when all, you know, the metal, rock scene was coming out. And, you know, that's why they were able to, like, appeal to a lot more people instead of just, like, the hard rockers, the metalheads. If you want to buy peas, I need about a tree. I need about a tree for the. God damn it, don't give her no tree fitty. I only gave him 250. It's like, God damn it, don't give her no 250. He's gonna come back and want that 150. But yeah, so gonna talk about Dirty Deeds now. My favorite songs. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Hellfire! Hashtag Extreme Demons. Woo! Well, right now we're talking about Dirty Deeds, AC/DC. So put in your favorite songs from the album. Like I said, come on, put your favorite memories in there of your concerts. Jailbreak is one of my favorite songs from that album. Big Balls, I mean, I was just talking about that earlier. That's how I gave away this album that I was going to do, you know, Problem Child. Hey, habanero sauce. One of my friends, I have to go. Ah, well, John, thanks for tuning in always. I know you just kind of check in, especially on the weekdays because you have to go to work. So thanks for checking in, dude. I will see you on Friday. I'm probably going to do Rogue Company instead of Call of Duty. And then on Saturday, I'll do Call of Duty. So if you want, you can also download that game and you can play with us. And anybody else is welcome. It's like a 4-player game. So we can do it. Big balls. I've got big balls. Time to sleep for me. No, dude, have a good night. Thank you. Have fun talking metal. Yes. Aw, yeah. Thank you for wishing him happy birthday, John. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I guess this, in the Dirty Deeds song, when he says, call 362436, hey! It was an actual song, an actual, number in Australia. So a lot of people started calling it, a lot of people started, prank calling it, and then the company that it was, or whoever it was, ended up suing them, and obviously ended up winning because they had so much harassment and they couldn't even, answer the phone because they were scared it was going to be somebody talking about that damn song. Woo! Horns up, everybody. Put your horns up. It's like that. Yeah. 8675309. I was just getting there, dude. It was in my mind and I was going to say it. I looked over the chat. You beat me to it. And, I mean, the song is about, this guy that goes and seeks revenge for people against, like, perverts, pedophiles, cheaters, whatever, but he's also, like, a bad guy. He's also, like, been to jail. He's also done bad things. And it was written about, like, or kind of, like, pertaining to this cartoon they used to watch in Australia called Beanie and Cecile. And I guess one of the characters, his name was Dishonest John, and he had a card that said, dirty deeds done dirt cheap, and special rates for Sundays and holidays. And that's where they ended up getting, the main line, dirty deeds done dirt cheap, from this cartoon, from Dishonest John. And John, don't be dishonest. It wasn't a hit at you. I wrote a song about raising horns many years ago, unreleased since then. Dude, do it. Amon Amarth did one, but it's about, like, horns that, like, you drink out of, so do it, please. Get on it. And, like, some of their songs on this album were about the alcohol abuse that they were suffering, feeling like they were being trapped by having to tour and make music, and then being depressed that that's all that they could do. It's fun, and you love making music, you love making money, but it comes at a price. You don't have a regular life. So these guys are just, like, doing drugs, drinking, partying all the time to kind of numb it, and, ends up, putting them down a rabbit hole, and then they can't get out of it, and then they have to go through a bunch of stuff, and then try to come back out of it, and, have a comeback in their musical career. And on this album, the labels were, like, assuming that Bon Scott was going to get fired because they were unhappy with the way he was singing. But it's like, this is the third album that they've had. Like, how could you think that you would be unhappy with the singing? Like, he sings the same, like, on the other albums. Like, what are you thinking, And, they were, where'd he go? Oh, and they were forced to do, all the Dirty Deeds, like, songs and stuff because, when Brian Johnson came in, they were doing For Those About to Rock, they were about to release it. And in the U.S., when they were doing all their big tours and stuff, they didn't release this album until, like, a year after Bon Scott's death. So after that, they had already, like, written For Those About to Rock, like, that whole album. And then they went on tour, like, with it right after Dirty Deeds was released. So there was a lot of, like, conflict between the band and producers, the managers. Everybody was mad at each other. And then he had to, pick up other songs from this recent album because, everybody wanted to hear it. They're like, we want to hear the new stuff, but, maybe For Those About to Rock could have done a lot better if things were planned out a lot better, too. Which sucks that they had to release it after his death. Like, I hate when they do that stuff and try and profit off people's death. Black metal refers to the use of horns a lot. Just more low-key, yeah. All these other bands just like, horns up and raise your horns. And, like, they had, a lot of controversy, like, with this album, like, with Big Balls and, like, Squealer and, all the sexual innuendos in there. But it's like, dude, this is, like, AC/DC. They've had sexual innuendos since they started. Like, give me a break, dude. Horns. Well, another band that I would like you guys to listen to if you haven't already, because you surprised me last week with the Grim Reaper thing, and nobody's, or he hadn't heard who Grim Reaper was, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So everybody's like, are you serious? Okay, listen to Grim Reaper. So, another band, Sabotage. I'm going to be covering Hall of the Mountain King. So, I couldn't find, like, a ton of things about this album, but I want you guys to put, like, your favorite songs, like I said, and favorite albums from this. This is a good album to start off with if you want to listen to Sabotage. Their earlier stuff is good, too. But there was a lot of, like, transition to, like, being more of, like, a progressive metal instead of being, like, a faster metal like before in a different style. Like, Fight for the Rock is, like, a really good starter album for their first albums. And then also, obviously, this one, and Gutter Ballet. Sabotage I've seen on my YouTube Rex for a while now. Oh, you haven't gotten into them? Dude, get into them. My favorite songs: Strange Wings, Hall of the Mountain King, Legions. Listen to those songs, and listen to Fight for the Rock album. It's badass. But this is like they're usually like inspired by like composers and like those types of artwork from like the 1800s and everything. And this one has a lot of that. But like they have like Prelude to Madness. There's like an arrangement by this guy named like Edvard Grieg, and in the Hall of the Mountain King by this other guy. And these guys are like Norwegian composers. You know, one's a composer, the other one like is a pianist and stuff. And they didn't get any credit for the song, which is weird. Even though there was like parts of it like from there. I guess nobody owns the rights to these old, you know, guys, I guess. I mean, which kind of sucks, but it's like nobody owns the rights to them. Where are their ancestors? And like, you know, their artwork was done by this guy that was, you know, also like a piano, like a repair dude or whatever back in the 1800s. And he like that's his original artwork. They just kind of like dolled it up a little bit and buffed it up a little bit. They had the big four to compete with. Wait, slow down. You're talking too fast. I didn't catch that. I'm sorry. I'm nervous tonight, guys. So I'm talking too fast. Strange Wings and Hall of the Mountain King. Those are my two top faves. Legions is another good song off that album. And Fight for the Rock. Listen to that song and then, you know, listen to the rest of the album. But that's like their early stuff. And you could hear like the change or the transition between those albums, you know, going from, you know, like just like a faster speed metal type of thing, and then going over to, you know, a heavier progressive metal, heavy metal. I guess you want to say it's not speed metal. They started off heavy metal. Public Domain songs in the Hall of Mountain King. Love that main riff. Yeah, dude, it's freaking heavy. And like I said, you could hear the difference between that and their early albums for sure. And then also look up Gutter Ballet. That's another good album by them. And I'm pretty sure you'll like it, Jupiter. Well, since, I mean, nobody really is into Sabotage, apparently. I don't have that much about them. Or this album. But I'm going to go to a band that I did last time, Iron Maiden. But it's going to be the Somewhere in Time album. So put your favorite songs. Gotta go catch you later. Oh, it's alright, Jose. Thanks for tuning in, dude. If you want to come play with me on Rocket League, or not Rocket League, Road Company, I always mix those two up, on Friday, and Call of Duty on Saturday. Let's do it. So my favorite songs, I mean, Wasted Years, and obviously Somewhere in Time, Stranger in a Strange Land, and this is like their first album that they use like guitar synthesizers in the album, and it was also their first and last album to do that. Their later albums, if they wanted to put synthesizing type stuff, they were using keyboards to do it. They didn't really do it with the guitars. But they had done like this long ass tour, World Slavery Tour. It lasted 331 days, and I mean, there's only like what 352 days a year, so it's like, dude, they were like every single day doing tour stuff, and 187 concerts mashed into 352 days of the year. Crazy. So they were, you know, super tired. They didn't want to do anything else. They had to take a break. I mean, this is the first album that they did that they didn't do back to back, like after every single year, you know. They took like, you know, a lot of time off and released it, I believe, 3 years after their last album. 52. Why did I say 352? 365. That's like 10 more, and I mean, 331 days of touring. That's insane. Kind of lurking while I play season 6 of COD. It's all good, Hellfire. You could rewatch it later if you want to. And then like Bruce wanted to have this like moment, kind of like Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti, and wanted to do like all these acoustic songs, and they were just like, Bruce, you're too tired. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. So, Steve Harris had to take a break. The new guitarist stepped in. His name was Adrian Smith. I mean, he wrote, you know, mostly all the songs. And, I mean, they were all badass. It wasn't really intentionally supposed to be like a album about time and futuristic stuff. But, you know, it just ended up happening to be that way. On Earth, on my Emponius planet, a day 9.6 hours. Jupiter's year is like 11 Earth years. What? um, and this album has like so much in the artwork on the front and back. I have a bunch of a little bit of stuff here. I'm gonna read it to you guys. But if you go and look it up, it's crazy. Like the front and the back of the album. I mean, there's some facts here, but I didn't even take them all out from just the front part of the album. And then the back side of the album had like twice as much of what I saw for the front part of the album. Like, I'm not gonna go over every single little thing, but if you want to look it up, it's pretty cool. It has a bunch of like different Iron Maiden's references. The street corner where Eddie's standing reads Acacia. Everybody knows 22 the Avenue. That's the place where we all go. So I mean, there's that. There's like below where it says Acacia, there's like a poster that reads like graffiti that reads Eddie lives on it. There's torn posters from singles that they had released, Sanctuary, Woman in Uniform. There's a banner with words, "This is a very boring painting," displayed backward within the lobby of the towers. And it could be seen on the left of Eddie's right leg. So there's like very little things in there that you have to like really look for. There's, let's see, not that one. It says an Eye of Horus neon sign is at the top of a building, a reference to obviously Power Slave. The right of Eddie's leg, there's like a little trash can attached to a lamppost or whatever, and it's identical to the cover of the Iron Maiden album. There's like a hollowed out black cat from the back cover of Live After Death that's on the pavement behind Eddie. I mean, there's a bunch of crazy stuff in there. These are like a few of the little facts from just the front, and like I said, the back has twice as much. I mean, that's crazy input to put in there. Cheers to the guy who, put that all together and put all those little tidbits in there. All those little Easter eggs. Adrian Smith left around then. Yeah, he didn't stick around too long. Solid record. Heck yeah, dude. I mean, I love all Iron Maiden albums, but I kind of stopped at like Ghost of the Navigator. But it's all badass, but it's just repetitive Iron Maiden, I guess you could say. So I'm gonna go to somebody who I love as well, Alice Cooper. I was able to see him once, and then unfortunately the tour he was going to do with Tesla and Lita Ford got canceled because all this COVID stuff, so I wasn't able to see him. RIP again. Then he came back, and now Iron Maiden has 3 guitars. We need more guitarists, more harmonizing solos. But yeah, I'm going to talk about Constrictor. That's a really badass album. Teenage Frankenstein, Thrill My Gorilla, Thrill My Gorilla. And there's a lot of other good songs on there, but he had like a ton of albums, as you know. He started off like 60s or late 60s, early 70s. It was like the 9th album, and it was like a 3-year break from his last one. It was called like Dada or something. But he had a couple like weird albums after, his first 4 good albums. He had a couple weird albums in there, and everybody's like, okay, Alice Cooper, where are you going? They said that this album was like the first like regular album or normal album that he came out with that wasn't, kind of weird. No more than Mr. Nice Guy, yes. Because school's out for summer, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, my favorite early on Alice Cooper albums is like Billion Dollar Babies, Welcome to My Nightmare, of course. School's Out, come on. You're poison running through my veins, poison. Oh yes, but you're throwing it back. My other favorite albums like later on would be obviously Constrictor and like Trash. Raise Your Fist and Yell, hey, 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 stupid. I sing that a lot nowadays to some of these people. And I guess there's this movie, this Spanish movie called Monster Dog that I didn't know that he was in, and when I looked it up, it looked like actually pretty cool. And he made like 2 songs just for that movie, but it was like for the movie. It wasn't like a release like soundtrack wise. It was just like something within the movie, I guess. And he was also featured in a Twisted Sister song at the time, Be Cruel to Your School. In the name of rock and roll. And then, the song He's Back, the man behind the mask. It was for Friday the 13th, the 6th one, but, Jason, his little mask. Um, but I mean, what are your guys' favorite songs from this album besides that? If anybody else wants to jump in, because I'm just gonna keep rolling. I have two more for you guys to go over. Going once, going twice. So, okay, so we're gonna move on to Hammerfall. Another band that I've seen multiple times. They're super awesome, super nice Swedish dudes. They're always like really thankful and just like, you know, really cool, really respectful, but super power metal. And the album I'm gonna talk about is Legacy of Kings, which is one of my favorite Hammerfall albums. If you guys don't really listen to them, a good starter one would be Crimson Thunder. I would throw out there first, and then this one, Legacy of Kings, for sure. I mean, Legacy of Kings, Heeding the Call, Let the Hammer Fall. I mean, these are like staple songs they always have to do in every single show. If not, it would not be a Hammerfall show. Nobody ding 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 ding, because I don't have very many facts about Hammerfall. But I mean, like I said, they're like a super cool band, super cool like power metal band. I've learned like a couple of songs from the Crimson Thunder. So there was one time I went to go see them, and then I was there like right in front of the stage, and there was a couple of songs that they were about to play, and I'm like, "Let me play with you," and the guy was just looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "I know the songs. Let me play with you." I was like, I wanted to have that moment where the band's like, "You know the song, come on stage," and I'm just like, "Yeah," but it never happened. So great. Their cheesiness is off the charts, but I love it. If you're talking about Hammerfall, it's not that cheesy. Well, maybe they are. I just are blinded by my love of Hammerfall. I'm like, they're not cheesy. Come on. Give me a break. But if you guys haven't listened to them, like I said, start off with Crimson Thunder. Badass album. I don't skip any songs on that album. But the last one I'm going to talk about, which maybe I'll get you guys going, is Megadeth. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. My favorite Megadeth album ever. Get in here. Tell me your favorite songs. Your favorite moments. Also, I mean, tell me your favorite Megadeth songs to play. Child of the Damned. Dawn Patrol. Yes. See, I knew I'd get you guys going. My favorite, Tornado of Souls. 100%. That's my favorite Megadeth song ever. So, obviously why I chose this album, and many, many, many good songs. Hangar 18 and Holy Wars are like staple songs that they will never not do in their concerts. They've said it themselves. If they don't do it, it's not a Megadeth show. And I'm not repeating myself. That's what it says. And it was like, you know, known as like the best thrash album of all time. It was nominated for so many awards, Grammy, for all the stuff it talked about. It was a pretty political album. What do you mean I don't believe God? I talk to him every day. I love that, dude. They must say this so badass. He's like, yeah, I'm metal. Yeah, I talk to God. And what? So what? That's Metallica. But yeah, I mean, and it's the first album with Marty Friedman. And I mean, you guys, I mean, you can't tell me that you don't know who Marty Friedman is. He is so awesome. He is such a cool, humble guy. Super nice. They did so much coke. Yeah, I mean, most of those metal bands, I mean, they couldn't stay away from drugs and alcohol. There was so much partying and stuff going on. And like I said, with some of these other bands that I talked about, I mean, they were in so much pressure. I mean, they drank and, you know, smoked and snorted and shot their, you know, worries away, and then just kept making music because they could, you know. Some Blood Jeff's here. Woo! I love that new emote. I was like, when I first got the gifted sub, I was like, oh man, I'm like, he doesn't have any emotes. I thought it was gonna be like a Kraken emote or something. And then when it popped up, I was like, oh, what is this new emote? I was like, oh, it's the Blood Jeff's emote. Woo! The Kraken's in the house. You take a mortal man and put him in control. Yeah, I mean, just that little line that you gave me there, Jupiter, that's, you know, has so much, you know, meaning behind it politically, and, you know, so much things about religion and, you know, aliens and UFO stuff. And, you know, Dave Mustaine also put, you know, his problems and issues into the album. You know, he'd be like, oh, this song is about religion and politics and everything, and also my personal problems. This one's about UFO sightings and some crazy stuff, and my personal problems. I'm like, oh man, which it's obviously got to come out in your music, you know, your emotions and everything. They were added to the Monsters of Rock tour and played with like Iron Maiden and Kiss and Guns N' Roses, David Lee Roth. I was like, oh my god, that's like such a badass lineup. And then so after they played like a show with them, they got added to the European tour, but then messed it all up. You know, all of the band members had issues. The bassist had like really bad drug problems and stuff, which probably pertains to the cocaine, like you were saying. And you know, he ended up getting kicked out, and then Dave Mustaine just kicked everybody out, which I'm pretty sure it's because they all had really bad drug problems. He even had like Dimebag came and tried out, and then he didn't want him. Jeff Waters from Annihilator came in, didn't want him. People were saying, I mean, you should just do it yourself. You should be the lead guitarist and lead singer. He's like, no, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. And, you know, he already does a badass job, like, singing and playing certain rhythms without being off. And then imagine trying to throw, like, lead guitar in there. That would be super hard. Just like the Pied Piper led rats through the streets, dance like a marionette. Dude, okay, that was the first Megadeth song I had ever heard, and I didn't hear Megadeth until I was, like, 17 years old, dude. I was like, this song is badass. Somebody's like, oh, can you learn this song? And I was like, well, yeah, I'll take a listen to it. And I was like, dude, this song is, like, so easy. Everybody learns that and Enter Sandman as their first, like, you know, distorted guitar, you know, electric guitar sounding songs. And Violence, nice. And Dimebag was considered for Megadeth, but he declined. Oh, I got that wrong. But he declined because Mustaine already had a drummer, and Dime wanted him to bring his big brother along too. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Black Friday is good too. Oh, giving me some suggestions up in here. Look at you. But then he ended up getting in contact with Marty. He sent him a copy of his song Dragon's Kiss, and then he said, I mean, I want to get this guy in here, try him out, liked him, and ended up being, you know, him and the other members that ended up joining in after Dave Mustaine finally found like a set group, because it was the most steady lineup. Everybody was like, this is like the, you know, Megadeth lineup. That was like the most famous Megadeth lineup, was when Marty Friedman came in, and they changed everybody out because of all the crazy drug use and everything. And then I guess Rest in Peace was actually inspired from a bumper sticker that Dave Mustaine saw driving, like, I think it was to Lake Elsinore or from Lake Elsinore, and he saw this guy's truck, and then it had this bumper sticker, and it said, may all your nuclear weapons rest in peace, or rust in peace. And he was like, oh, that sounds pretty badass. I'm gonna use that. Thanks, bumper sticker. Don't come after me later. And, I mean, the album cover depicts Hangar 18, and then it has, like, you know, Rattlehead up there, you know, looking at an alien, and then all these, like, prime ministers and, like, high leaders from, like, Japan, Britain. I mean, it had the George Bush Sr. there, and, you know, it's like, what is that all about? You know, they know all this political, like, weird stuff, and I'm putting it on the album covers. I'm like, there's something going on. Keep watching the skies. I sent the ball rolling. Bill B clicking at the miles on the train of consequences, and there ain't no coming back. And what was I gonna say? Oh, and it's pretty crazy because Holy Wars was inspired by like some conflicts that were going on in Northern Ireland between Catholics and Protestants over like 6 countries that were in there. And there was a Megadeth show that was like in a city in North Ireland, and there was these people selling like these bootleg Megadeth shirts and stuff. And at first, like, you know, Dave Mustaine was like, what the hell, dude? Like, why are these people, like, bootlegging my shirts? And then once he went over there to, like, confront them, they were saying, you know, all the proceeds go to a cause to help stop what was going on between, you know, the Catholics and the Protestants and stuff. And, you know, help towards that cause. And so Dave Mustaine was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I'm not going to do anything to that. Just let them do their thing. And then, so, like, another show right after that, he ended up talking about it during the show to the people in the concert, and then dedicating Anarchy in the UK to it and to the situations going on. Started a crazy riot. They ended up having to get out of there and other shows in like a bulletproof tour bus. So I mean, he stirred up some crazy stuff, but like that song, has to do with that. And then at the end, he's like, and some of my personal issues. So that was pretty much like the whole album. He was like, this song's about this and my personal issues. I was like, come on, Dave. Mustangs sneaking too loud. It's 4 in the morning. I had too much to drink. Said I was out with the boys. Oh my god. Well, I mean, seems like, I had like 10 albums for you guys. I thought I was going to have, a lot more. I started putting stuff together. I think I kind of stammered a little bit more through this. I was a little more nervous today. Last time there wasn't like as much like information that I had to seep in my head. So I was like, I'm not going to look at my notes or anything. And then this whole time I'm like, and then I'm just staring at the camera. And then I'm like, me, blank, drawing a blank. Wake up dead. And I'm like, ugh, dead. Dude, I'm like sweet. I don't know if you can see it. I'm like glistening, sweating right now. But yeah, man, that's all the albums that I had. I promised Jupiter I would do a shout out for his birthday. So, for the Ramones and for your birthday, I was going to do the Simpsons version. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jupiter. Happy birthday to you. Jupiter, you old bastard. Hopefully you enjoyed that birthday song. Glistening, dude. Can you see it? Am I really glistening? I believe, through doing this and other times that I'm streaming and going through the bumps and all the things going on and nervousness and stuff like that, I'll obviously get better, later on and keep going through it. But, I think I did all right tonight, but there was a couple moments that I was just like, drawing a blank. Have the Rolling Stones killed, and I didn't want to offend you by saying "old bastard." I was just following the Simpsons sketch. Thank you for the song, Timmy. It was the conclusion of my birthday. Yes. Wait a minute. Oh, it was like right before midnight where you're at. Awesome. I made it. Yes. I'm glad you're able to stay the whole time. Like I said, I wanted more people to be in here so that everybody can wish you a happy birthday as well. Thank you for those of you who did. Thanks for everybody who tuned in tonight. You guys are always here for me. I'm always glad to hear from you guys. Feel free to give me some input. You guys are here with me. You guys were here with me the last stream that I did. Give me some suggestions. You can give me, on Facebook, Instagram. Let me know, like, some suggestions that you want me to do certain nights of, like, certain genres or something, bands. And then I'll go ahead and look up, cool facts and stuff for you guys and hopefully give you some, knowledge that you didn't know before. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you on Friday. Gonna play some Road Company, so thanks, guys. All crooked.